Welcome to episode 2 of Stellar Fusion. It's a new thing that I'm trying, and it's obviously very professional, as you can tell by the intro. Today I am joined by James. Do you go by James Plague TV?
James is good. Plague or James is fine.
Okay.
That works.
I feel like I should just call you James in light of, COVID-19 kind of.
I know. It's inappropriate. It's fun. It's not funny because my day job is with, full disclosure, the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, and I just spent a week at our headquarters last week, and I can't speak for the organization, but what I'll tell you is that if you're not taking it seriously, you should be.
Yeah.
And that none of these cancellations are an overreaction, in my opinion, from what we know today.
Yeah. So you're also with a really important mental health organization. Do you want to tell us about that?
I do, yeah. By night, I work for To Write Love on Her Arms. I'm the influencer relations manager there. So anybody that wants to fundraise for us in YouTube, Mixer, or Twitch land, I'm the person that helps organize those campaigns. And that's been super fun. You jumped on board with us.
I did.
Pre and post IGN, actually.
Yeah. And then you were my main point of contact for that. And then,
How about that? It's funny because I haven't been on the team formally. I started that as a volunteer, actually. It's my favorite how do you work in the industry when you don't have any experience working in the industry story, and it's my own story. And it took like 3 years to get there, but
no, that's awesome though.
But we made it work. Yeah, I sent a cold email to them.
Oh,
I
good.
sent a cold email to To Write Love, and I was like, Warped Tour, because it was right when Warped Tour got canceled, and I was like, all of the punk rock scene is on Twitch now. Like the same demographics that you were seeing at Warped Tour are watching Twitch, and you need to bring your brand to gaming. And then they convinced them to get on Tiltify.
That's awesome.
And, we've expoed the last 3 Twitch cons. We want to do more conventions this year, but they keep getting shut down. So
yeah, I know. That's awesome though. That's huge. That's huge. The fact that you were able to bring that organization onto Tiltify and Twitch, that's awesome.
Oh, dude, looking like Surst. I get that all the time. The guy from oh my God, System of a Down.
Oh.
I've had side by sides of him up on my stream all the time. He could be my dad. My dad looks nothing like him though, by the way.
Interesting.
God.
So speaking of events getting canceled, let's go into our first topic. E3 getting canceled.
I know. I know.
So the footage I'm showing is from last year's E3, the great Cyberpunk reveal, which, obviously had Keanu come out, and that was a huge thing. And so many people were at E3, but now that it's been canceled, a lot of people are wondering how exactly it's going to be presented now. Although most of it was live streamed anyways. So there's no reason why it can't just be...
Totally. So 2 things. I think that E3 needed a year off. And again, focusing on the positive things here, because E3 went from being an industry-only event to like this hybrid fandom industry event. And it kind of upset everyone. Like the industry was upset because they weren't able to get the work done that they needed to get done. The fandom was upset because it wasn't a pure fandom convention. So I think it's for E3 as an organization, they have kind of a full year now to go back to the drawing board and think about what it is they want E3 to be. So I'll take that. I mean, there's a little bit of a silver lining in there.
Yeah, I think they actually, in one of the replies on their tweet when they announced that they were canceling it, I'm pretty sure they were like, yeah, we're already planning for 2021. And I was like, interesting. Okay.
They should be.
I don't know what they're going to do differently, because I know a lot of people have been saying exactly what you said. And actually, a lot of the replies on the cancellation thing is like, oh, see you next year. Not.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's so selfishly, like the first time that I attended was as a fan, not as industry. There's this super weird thing for me where I almost always buy like a fan badge for things, and then someone hands me an industry badge by the end of it. But that's like my normal format for events. So it actually, like, my way into the industry was because it was a fandom event and I could use it as a networking platform.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of loss on that. But since we're talking about Cyberpunk and that's on the screen, the year prior, so not last year's year E3, but the one before, they were doing very small private screenings of Cyberpunk footage back then to like closed rooms of like 20 people,
I remember
15,
that.
20 people rooms.
Yeah.
And they can still do that stuff through Discord, right? I mean, they're just going to have to get better at digital events this year.
Yeah, I mean,
Press events,
yeah.
influencer events.
So Nintendo Direct actually did a really good job of digitizing their, public events that they did have in person. And I think if a lot more people followed that format, it would do really well for them. And it's so funny now with this whole quarantine going around that everyone is kind of being forced to turn to the internet for more forms of entertainment, more forms of presentations. Actually, so IGN just had a live stream all hands on, what is it? I forget what it's called, but there's like some I think it's called Workspace. And it's like Facebook, but for the office.
Yeah.
So we had a live stream in one of our big studios, and it was on all hands on statistics, analytics, and our videos and stuff. And they had a lot of fun with it. They started doing, what's it called? Like sound effects and like visual effects. And everyone was like, yeah, this is so much nicer. Because usually we have to gather in the kitchen or like the break area.
It's like uncomfortable, whatever.
Yeah. So we're all just like, this is great. And I think people are finally realizing, hey, digital events aren't all that bad.
No, even in my non-gaming day job, I just moved to New York, and we have 85,000 employees in my day job. It's a freaking it's a huge organization. It's the largest employer in the state of Pennsylvania. I am the first corporate services remote employee that I know of. So I was already ready to go. And then literally this morning we were ordered to all stay home if we can, to work from home. So I'm kind of a step in front of everyone else, but I love it. I think that from the developer standpoint, you're right. Like community managers are going to be a lot busier, but I would love to see community managers do like small groups of 5 to 10 influencers and do like one-on-one hour-long live streams. Discord just upped their live stream limit, right? You could have 10 people in a room, now you can have 50.
50, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, 50 is a lot. I mean, that's a press conference, right? I mean, that's the average size of the closed events that you would have. But it's probably larger than the average size of the closed events you would have at E3 anyway. So.
I mean, I don't even get 50 viewers on my stream, so like that's.
Hey, you know what? Neither do I.
Yeah, but that's fun. Like it's such a good way to incorporate that like remote situation. So. Simple says, if COVID-19 is the kickstart to a more digital future. ...
I mean, like as much as we want to, this is what worries me a little bit. And this is true this kind of leads into the indie devs topic, which is the next thing on our list.
Yeah.
Is that business still happens in person. And that's true if you're a broadcaster too. Like it's really hard to send a company an email and expect a response. And a lot of people, I think smaller, mid-sized broadcasters who haven't made it yet and are like on the edge of their analytics and their metrics making sense, relied on PAX, relied on things like E3 to get in front of the PR person at a studio, right? Or at a publisher. And indie devs did too. So we do lose that.
Yeah, especially with PAX, I realized how important hands-on is with indie developers, because otherwise they're not going to understand, like no one's going to get what this game is about. Even all the like videos that I got of like all the pre-packages I got as press, I was like, what is this game? I don't understand this. So, I would set up appointments, be like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll go check it out. And I actually ended up liking 80% of the games that I tried, but I wouldn't have known that unless I had gone and actually gotten hands-on experience.
Totally. So for me, like if you're a channel that's drawing, 15, 20 concurrents, you're probably not getting a key through Keymailer. You're probably not getting a key if you cold email them. But if you show up at PAX and you kind of hit it off with the developer and there's good chemistry there and they end up liking you, that's kind of your way in. On the other side of that, it works the same way for developers that are trying to get published. It's not really any different. All of that networking is happening at events. And so now the question is, how do you make up that gap, right? With events being canceled. It seems like out until what, May? Are we into June? Some of the events that have been canceled are way out in June now.
Yeah. I mean, I know that they're hoping that the heat kind of burns off the virus, but I don't, you can't rely on that.
Yeah, it will slow it. So I'm not a doctor, but what we're being told from people that are is that it will slow it through the summer, but it will come back in the fall.
Yeah. I don't know. So with digitizing events, it'd be really cool to see some sort of indie game showcase. on like Twitch or something, but I don't know, that would be so many different developers that you have to coordinate with in order to get that sorted out. And a lot of people might be in different time zones. They might have restrictions. Maybe they don't have the best internet connections. So it's going to be tough because they have more of a budget to stick to than AAA titles.
Well, some studios are kind of already ahead of the curve, and they're larger studios, but there's nothing that it prevents a smaller studio from going live on Twitch to promote themselves. I think Devolver does that really well. Sea of Thieves, I know they have the back of Microsoft, but don't they do a live broadcast before every patch? I'm pretty sure that's kind of already in their culture to do that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some devs and some publishers already have this habit of going live for updates. I know Crytek does with Hunt Showdown. Might just be called the Hunt.
Oh
now.
yeah. I feel like that should be more normalized, just because not many people get the chance to go to events. So it would just help them out more. Like, it's just helping themselves. Another thing that I think is really huge is maybe like posting gameplay on Reddit or on Twitter, because that's where a lot of people get their information from, because they're browsing that constantly. And if it just shows up, then it's like, oh, cool, what's this? I've never seen something like this before.
Yeah. I think that developers are going to have to get creative with, because by now they're already working on, or at least thinking about, what the assets they were going to show at E3 were anyway, from trailers to gameplay footage, from kind of guided tours, if you will. That stuff can all be done on Twitch. And I think that it could be pretty cool to have an open chat while you do it.
Yeah.
Another feature that no one ever uses on Twitch is the ability to have multiple chats up at one time, and I think it could be cool to have an open chat and then like a media only, like a press only chat. Could be kind of a thing. Could be kind of an interesting thing going on. I don't know if you can actually restrict them though. Can you?
You can do subscribers.
That feature's still here though, right? Oh, you can make it.
Yeah,
sub.
you can. But then you have to sub for it.
Doesn't quite fix it.
Simple says, I want to see a VR E3 event. I bet that's something that's coming, dude. I bet you.
VR E3 event.
But that kind of terrifies me, because then that's like, oh, we're stepping a little bit further into the Black Mirror universe. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
But I mean, honestly, it would make it.
Robot overlords.
No, I do not. That's why I thank our Google Home every time I ask it for something. I always say, thank you.
Thanks, Google. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, actually, one time I was like, hey, Google. Or I said, hey, Google, I love you. Thank you. I was like, oh, that's high praise. I was like, yeah, just remember that, please.
Please remember me.
Yeah. Nighthawk says that feature for multiple chats might have gotten nuked.
Did it? I remember it being a thing. It might not exist anymore.
Yeah. Also, Near Vache says, I'm okay with this.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, honestly, for people like us who are very used to just staying indoors and communicating online like this, like, we're used to it. It's fine. But major companies now have to adjust, which is kind of, it's a big step for them. And it's like, hey, welcome to the world of...
Yeah, it's a huge challenge for public relations functions, because smaller, more agile teams that are used to having people live can, but other teams that want to like script every little piece of every little message that makes it out are going to struggle. Are just going to struggle.
Yeah. So it's really funny, because we started this new show on IGN where, we go live daily from Monday to...
I saw your $500 Mari.
Yes, it's crazy. But so Monday to Friday, we're live 4 to 5 p.m. And the thing is, they want it to be like a very formal sort of news setup. But yesterday was a very informal setup, because we were just having fun with it, and because I bullied my boss with the Mareep. And, I saw that a lot of comments were being more responsive. People wanted to talk to us and engage. And I was like, this is awesome. If more companies could be more open to like a more relaxed environment, it would do so much. Like, what is it? Warframe. Their devs always do a live stream, and they like totally encourage people to meme the live stream whenever it gets really, cringy, or when it gets awkward. Like, they allow their community to come and make these like videos where they're, it's great. And it's like, that's such a great way to interact with people and build a better fan base and build a better community.
Totally.
So why don't more companies do that?
This is just, I mean, I can pull some from my consulting in this space and tell you that it depends on, you have to know your platform, and companies aren't willing to adjust for each platform, right? Like, you would never do the same content on YouTube as you would do on TikTok, right? because they're so different. Like TikTok eats such a different type of content.
That's
and
fair.
So I look at like live and YouTube being that way. If I'm doing a YouTube video, you can do like an informational YouTube video and just teach people about something. But when they're watching live, you want to be entertained. It's live. It's in that moment. Because why, if it's not, why would you want to watch it in the moment? You can just go watch the pre-recorded later. So it's a different, I think companies are used to this really polished, oh, I can edit this in post message, which works on YouTube, but doesn't work on live.
On live, it's almost better if it's not polished. Like there's a bit of a charm to it. Like it just shows that you're human and it's okay, and not everyone is perfect at this stuff, which is great.
Devolver Digital's E3 presentations are awesome. It's just like people on a couch playing games. And
that's awesome.
Very little scripting. They like randomly bring devs in to talk about stuff. It's a great E3 event.
That's awesome though. I love that so much because it kind of gives people this sense of connection, which is great. And I love that.
They rent the parking lot across the street from the convention center, and they do it there, which I think is pretty awesome.
Are you serious? That's awesome.
They like lay AstroTurf down in the parking lot across the street from the convention center at E3 and just do their own E3. I'm like, this is the smartest thing ever.
Interesting. Okay.
Geniuses.
That's pretty
geniuses
cool.
over there.
Yeah.
Good old Devolver. So like for them, like what do they care? They could do that anywhere. So I'm sure they're still going to do the thing that what they usually do for E3, just in a different venue, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they'll just.
I hope so. I really hope so. That'd be so cool. Yeah. Because like, why not? I mean, if you can.
Yeah.
If you have the resources to, of course.
If your city's not locked down, right? So I live in Jersey City and we have a curfew in effect right now. So everything closes at 10 o'clock, I think.
Do you really?
So no bars, no restaurants, no. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. They don't want people like gathering in groups at night. We've got some confirmed cases, and schools are closed here. So.
Oh yeah, we do too. So I think we went to a state of emergency or something for us. Yep. Like, so now it's like preparation, and I actually didn't go to the gym yesterday. I wanted to, but my coworker was like, maybe not the best idea. And I was like, man,
plan. I want to too. I know I'm dying. I'm gonna get punched off.
I know, and I was like, oh, I know you're right, but at the same time, lifting heavy stuff just feels so good.
It helps. It's helpful.
It does. Okay, so
indie devs and event cancellations. Yeah, online events, online digital events. That's coming. If you're a content creator, I don't know, man. It's going to be really hard for small and mid-sized content creators, because if you're not already on a company's press list, you're not going to get the emails for those events. Like if you're at PAX, you can meet the devs and or at E3, you can meet the devs and stumble into those pressers. But if you're not already on the press list, I don't know what you do right now.
Yeah, it's tough because the whole point of these events is not only to connect with the devs, but it's also to, oh my God, what's it called? What's it called when you talk to people and you like share ideas and oh my God, why am I blanking on this?
Brainstorm?
Oh my God, no.
FaceTime?
No.
Hand-to-hand combat?
No! Oh my God, what is it called? Networking.
Oh
Sorry.
Oh my God.
God, the whole thing. I gotta remember. Yes, thank you, Nir. The whole point is to network with people so you can get your name out there, so you can get your organizations connected.
Network?
And it's freaking hard. It's hard. How do you do that remotely? I guess Twitter, but
I think what you do is the only thing I could think to do, and your odds of getting responded to are so low, because I'm sure these PR people's inboxes are flooded right now. Be like, hey, I intended on introducing myself at X event. That event's not happening anymore. Here's who I am, and try to pitch yourself with a good old-fashioned cold email. Yeah, but that sucks.
Because a lot of people don't like getting that. Like we already have so many more emails to take. Yeah.
You got to send them. Yeah, I always tell people to send them anyway, because the worst case scenario is somebody just deletes it. Like, they're not gonna block your email address probably, unless you're sending them every day.
I mean, they could, but
you said one.
Yeah, it's worth a try, but still, I feel like that's not the best way to do it, and I don't know a good alternative, because
I don't either.
Even if you tweet at the person or at the organization, it's not guaranteed that they'll see that either, because they get buried in notifications.
That's why events are so powerful, though, because if they've already met you in person, then they'll reply. Right, because you have that rapport with them. But if you don't have it already, I think that this year will prove how important in-person events are to the industry. But I do think that agile devs will find their way around it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, I think everyone's just kind of scrambling to find a solution to everything that they need right now. And I don't think they'll find, an answer to everything. But I think it's cool that we're able to at least try and develop new strategies to overcome this.
To me, this is where you make your career. If you're in working in community management right now, or influencer relations, and events were a huge part of what your team was trying to do, like this is where you make your career, right? When you're in these crisis moments and you have to do something creative and find an answer for it, like this is where you go make a name for yourself. So
no, that's absolutely fair.
People get inspired and go out there and solve the world's problems.
All right. So speaking of the world's problems, this is my segue. Okay. Let's talk about, how many of you guys know this little game called Horizon Zero Dawn?
Oh God.
Let's talk about the recent news about that. So Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to the PC.
Yes.
I don't know when exactly. Let me actually just...
I don't know if they put a date on it or not, just that it was breaking its exclusivity.
Yeah. This little game.
I love how it looks. This trailer that's running in the background.
I know. I love it so much. It looks gorgeous. I love the story behind it. So it says quite soon. That's all we have so far.
Quite soon.
But
Okay.
Let's talk about the reaction. The problem with communities with exclusives, and I talked about this very briefly on my stream before, but it's so stupid. I'm going to go out there and say it. Still spicy takes. It's stupid. Why are you upset that a PS4 game...
Why are the sweaty gamers upset?
Yeah, that it's coming to PC where more people can enjoy it. You can talk about it.
I'm not I understand. I get it. I actually blame the devs and the publishers for this a little bit.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I want to hear this.
Because sweaty gamers are going to be, I mean, this is just how it's going to be, right? But if I have a limited budget and I buy a PlayStation, like for me, like I would never buy a console. I don't have a console. I only do stuff on PC, right? But let's say there was a title I really freaking wanted and I bought a PlayStation for it. And then in however long it's been for Zero Dawn, then it came out on PC. I don't know that I'd be pissed about it, but publishers and developers get on stage at events like E3 and make such a big effing deal about stuff being platform exclusive. Like it's marketed that way.
Yeah.
And so like you can't like sell me a car and be like, this is going to be the only car that's painted red on the road. This is the only red vehicle ever allowed. And then next year be like, actually everybody else is allowed to paint their cars red too. Like you're selling me on that point. And then the same publisher that sold me on that point is mad that I'm mad when you change the game on me later, you know? I get the anger. I think it's overblown. Like I'm with you on that, but I understand it.
I get it. Doesn't mean I really get it. You know what I mean?
Like how angry. I don't like the anger that people have, but I understand why they're frustrated.
Yeah, I don't get people threatening the devs. I don't get people smashing their games. And
yeah, well, that's always
like
ridiculous.
that's just so stupid. I mean, do you think that's actually going to have an impact on anything in the future? And I actually see that. I didn't see this, but Metro published an article, and it's an op-ed on why Horizon Zero Dawn on PC is the dumbest thing Sony has ever done. And it's
the dumbest?
Yeah, so
the dumbest.
Here's the thing.
We're talking about Sony.
Yeah, okay. So one of the quotes is, the only possible benefit from Sony's point of view is that they'll sell more PC games. But while that's true, we're talking about a pointlessly small number here. Pointlessly small? I don't know if this guy knows. Yeah, I don't know if this guy knows how much people love playing games on the PC.
Yeah. I mean, plus the other thing is like the cost to port the game isn't going to be the break even. The number of copies they have to sell to break even here is going to be de minimis compared to what they completely sell. The cost of porting the game over from PlayStation to PC, they're going to break even and then some, without a doubt.
Like there's some people who couldn't afford a PS4 because they invested in a PC. So now they have the $60 game that they can invest in, which is, way better than buying a whole PS4 just to play this game.
Yeah. but it's educating the consumer base that like exclusives are BS, right? Because what was it that, because Microsoft does this too. Won't they say that it's like they'll call it like a Microsoft exclusive now, and then it's Xbox and PC. Like you have to like to pay very close
Oh,
attention
for
to
with like
Xbox's wording
the
on things, because they'll be like,
right, yeah.
It's a Xbox exclusive, but that's not the same thing as a Microsoft exclusive, because that means it's PC as well.
Right, right. Yeah, now with Game Pass and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like that though, because it gives you the option at least, which is
Right.
really nice. And I think if the
That's what
PS4,
everybody
if
really wants.
PlayStation
Everybody
did
really
something
wants
like that, I feel like it'd be so nice, because then people wouldn't get mad, and there'd be some way around this stupid anger that comes from elitism, right? Of just owning
Right.
a specific console, when all we want to do is just play games anyways. Like,
I know. Yeah, so, some of it's elite. I do feel for people that bought a really specific console for a game, though.
yeah.
Do people do that? Like, do people buy? I never have, right? Like, once I converted to PC, like, speaking
Yeah.
of elitism, I was like PC Master Race forever and like never came off of it. But it's just a cost thing, right? It's just a
It is,
cost investment
absolutely.
thing for me.
That's why I hate these stupid barriers that they've created, because
Yeah.
why should gaming be, glued to one platform when it's supposed to be about bringing people together, enjoying things, finding, your passions and specific stuff? Like, why have you split it?
Yeah.
And it's weird. And this Metro article also says, once enough people realize that the PC is the superior and
here we
is
go.
the superior and in the long term cheaper option, they'll realize that there's no need for the PlayStation anymore.
Is it
And I'm like, that's
long-term
not
cheaper?
true.
Is
That's
it
not
long-term
true.
cheaper?
I mean,
How is it long-term cheaper?
well, because you don't need to
I
buy
mean,
a
it's gonna be-
console every like 2-3 years. So
You got to buy a $600 Nvidia card every 2 years. Like,
not
I'm gonna have to
that
rebuild this
often,
PC to
unless
play
you
Doom.
stream. But the thing is, it's not going to be a problem. People buy consoles because it's easier for them to interact with their kids. It's easier to connect
Yeah.
with people online. Sometimes they
Yeah.
just don't
the
understand.
The upfront
Yeah.
cost is less. Yeah.
Like, it's just, I hate stuff like this because it's just delivering incorrect information. And I understand this is an op-ed, but at the same time, it's like, hey man, really consider both sides. Like, you got to look at it overall.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer that everything is just cross-platform and it doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand why companies do this. Their money's made on selling the games, not the consoles. So the
Yeah.
games are the thing that you use to attract people to buy the consoles.
Yeah. I mean,
But it's just that I do wish the marketing were cleaner. Like I do wish the way that these things were advertised and sold to people were cleaner, but there's not much you can do about that. So
yeah, it's unfortunately it goes back to the start of the console wars, and it's like, how do you undo years and years
I know,
of
yeah.
this?
It goes all the way back to like the Genesis era. Even before that, you could go back to Atari,
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Don't even start. Yeah, don't even start on Nintendo, man. Oh my
Yep.
God.
Oh, they love it. It's
We will
Nintendo's bread
never
and butter.
see. Yeah, we will never see Mario on any other
got
platform.
They've got a little better because we had the Rabbids game. This 2 E3s ago. The Rabbids.
They freaked me out.
Mario crossover. So people didn't make a big deal out of that, but that was the first time that Nintendo let somebody else touch their intellectual property for freaking ever. Like that was
It's true.
that was a really big deal for Nintendo to open up their intellectual property and let somebody else touch it. That was a huge deal. That went way underappreciated. I was like, why aren't people losing their minds over this right now?
Yeah, probably
when I
because
watched
it's
that.
Rabbids, and they're just like,
Yeah, 'cause it's
like what
Rabbids.
what are these fucking bunnies?
No, to me it was like it was signs of things to come, right? Because I was like, what if Nintendo is willing to open their intellectual property up for other studios to work with it? Like, what world does that open up for us, right? It ended up being none, but
Yeah.
it ended up being with a massively unsupported Smash scene.
Oh, yeah. Nighthawk says, I bought a Switch to play Breath of the Wild, and I bought Xboxes in the past to play Halo. I plan to play other games on the Switch and play other games on my Xbox. And Simple says, if everything is cross-platform, then what happened to Xbox will happen to more consoles. I mean, for me, I guess I kind of would like that, but I know not everyone is in the same boat. It's just unfortunate because we could all
Sony's-
just benefit.
Yeah, Sony's the one that's kind of stingy about allowing cross-platform to happen. It's always Nintendo or Sony. Microsoft, to its credit, because
Yeah.
Microsoft could care less. They're eating the PC market and the console market, so they don't care.
Yeah.
Lesson to them, they're like, whatever, sure, cross-platform, have at it.
Oh, Simple says, did you know there was a Mario game on the Atari 7?
I did not.
7800?
Wasn't that like
Sorry.
Granddad bootleg?
I did not
BS,
know.
Was it Simple? You
I
might know what I'm talking about with the Granddad thing. If he does, I'll freak out because nobody ever remembers that video. But
couldn't, so I wasn't allowed to play games when I was a kid, so I missed out on all of that. But yeah. Oh, apparently it's official. Huh.
it's
Interesting.
an official license. Oh, that's interesting. That's
Yeah.
way long ago. That's way long ago.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Horizon PC. I don't know what my conclusion is on this. I mean, I don't mind. You know what I do like that's happening now, and we've seen this. It's been less with console exclusives, but we've seen this with store exclusives, where publishers have been really upfront with like, this is an Epic Game Store exclusive for 12 months, right? Where like but at least as a consumer, right? Like if when you bought Horizon when it first came out, and they were like, it's PlayStation exclusive for 2 years, whatever it's been. You know, at least somewhere.
That's
like,
fair. Yeah.
then you would at least know that you can wait. For all the tryhards out there that won't buy a game through Epic but will through Steam and want to wait a full year to get, like, fine.
Yeah.
Right? But at least you know.
And I guess that would offset the element of surprise, but it still sucks that they would have to think about that, right? Like it just, I get it, but God, entitled gamers will always make me very upset.
The anger is way how angry they are is unjustified.
Just like, I don't know, devs are people too. That's something that people often forget.
They're big monolithic companies that make millions of dollars. Stella.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Millions of dollars.
So I don't know how to transition in this, so
Not at
I'm
all.
just we're just gonna
Esports
do
is
it.
the only sports. We should have done this after
there we
all
go.
the only sports that exist now are esports because everything else is done.
God, So did you guys hear the news that the NBA, their season got suspended, but they're going to continue on NBA 2K20?
I know. So
I think
creative.
that's incredible. That's so cool.
Creative. Yeah, it is. It is really cool.
So it's really funny. I was like, I asked someone, I was like, I wonder if, are they going to play the game against the teams that they were supposed to? Like, is this going to count officially? But
it's not going to count officially.
No,
They're gonna simulate the games. It'll be computer versus computer, but they're still going to have the announcers, like the commentators commentating the games, which I think is like pretty awesome. I don't know why they're not adding players in. Like, I think it'd be cool to have at least one player from each team play.
Yeah. But it's like, what if they're a really good basketball player in real life, but then they suck at video games?
Oh,
so
it's
then
even better. It's even better. And it's a meme, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny. Like when I first heard
terrible
that.
At 2K.
Yeah. When I first heard that, like he can't even control his own character.
Yeah,
God,
good.
why won't this guy, make this dunk? And I just think it'd be super funny. But when I first read this news, I was like, no way. No freaking way.
So the NHL has already been doing it, actually. So the NHL is a step ahead here. The Major League Baseball and the NHL have also postponed their seasons. So yeah, esports is the only sports that we know that we have right now. So probably good for the esports scene. But yeah, the NHL has already been some of the teams. The Washington Capitals is the team that I think of, but they have an NHL 2K game on their Twitch channel while their team is playing the game in real life. Happening at the same time. They've been doing that. They started last season. They were already doing it.
That's so cool. See, the thing is, okay, so here's what's interesting. In these games, the players all have their personal stats and stuff like uploaded into their characters.
Yeah.
So having the AIs fight against each other, like play against each other, that's kind of cool. And if you could compare that with real matches, like I feel like there could be something more there to just instead of just what's it called, like shoutcasting. Like you could actually analyze gameplay and real life play and be like, okay, what's different? Like what could we do better? And I think that's just kind of crazy to think about that. This is technology. This is what we have from games.
I think it'd be fun to have like LeBron shoutcast himself.
Oh yeah, that'd be so cool.
Just like talk a bunch of crap on himself.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool opportunities for it. Again, it's about opportunity, right? Because this is just where we are right now. So
yeah.
Also, this is how I got started in shoutcasting, was running my own tournaments on my own Twitch channel. And I love shoutcasting and desperately miss it. I'm going to be doing some Diabolical tournaments soon, so get excited for some Diabolical. But it's a great time for small broadcasters to think about that kind of thing. You've got a lot of schools out, like a lot of high schools are out, a lot of grade schools are out. People are at home, they have time. Run tournaments.
Yeah, why
Run really
not?
simple little brackets on Challenge or on Smash GG or something, and get after it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's really cool. I think it just opens up more opportunities again, like this. I know, COVID-19 is serious and it sucks that we're going through a global pandemic right now. But at the same time, like there's so many different things that are opening up that people are like, oh, we can do this. And it's kind of funny that gaming is becoming way more mainstream and even esports now, which is really cool to see because now there's so many opportunities. The stigma's kind of gone from, being, oh, you're a gamer, you like to play games and sit at home. Because now it can be so much more than that.
Yeah, totally. It can be. And I think a lot of parents are going to be way thankful for games right now because it's still cold outside. Their kids are out of school, stuck at home with them. I mean,
stuck in there with them.
Yeah, a lot of Fortnite pros are going to be made in the next month.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh God.
Have you seen
that parents have been paying for like official Fortnite coaching?
Yeah.
That's intense.
Well, it's becoming a real career field. It's funny because in the day job I did travel around a lot for that job, but would meet a lot of people that know that I do some consulting stuff in gaming, and they like look at me sideways, and I'm like, you understand that like your kids can make careers in this, not playing, but in everything, in live production and audio engineering and sound engineering and all that stuff. So I think it's kind of a good time for esports. Again, silver linings of this pandemic is that it's going to get more attention than it did before. Right? Viewership is going to be up across the board for all esports because people aren't going to have other competitive things to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just hope it becomes more normal to watch esports with other people like it is with sports in general.
Yeah.
I know there are bars now that are starting to show esports tournaments and stuff, which I think is really cool. And then even like Overwatch League is, I think it's a little too chaotic for people who don't know what that game is to like watch, but that's becoming more normal too. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Oh my God. Games that are too hard to watch. Freaking Overwatch.
Yeah. Or like
Come on, Overwatch. Get it together.
It's just got too much color and stuff going on. It's hard to.
And particle effects. Yeah. And I don't know what the hell's going on in it. I thought about shoutcasting Overwatch, and I was like, no.
I actually did that on my channel, but it's a lot, dude. It's a lot because you're just like, oh, and then they're doing, oh, well, that's over. That's it. They're doing, oh, okay, that's over.
And the shield's up, and it's broken.
Yeah,
and the shield's up, and it's broken. And the shield's up, and it's broken.
It's really funny. But I hope that I'm really hoping that there'll be a new sort of respect for esports, and it's not just like, oh, but it's just a kid sitting at his computer, like, moving keyboard and mouse. It's like, dude, just think about the overall production. Think about like your sports casting, right? Like they still have to get trained. I know it's not the same physical exertion, but it's still effort being put in. They're still training every day for this. It is their job. Like,
as a marathon runner and used to row competitively, and like I put the same amount of time into StarCraft and was way better at running and rowing than I ever was at StarCraft.
Yeah, like people don't understand hand-eye coordination, like teamwork that really goes into gaming. And I know it's different from sports, but you can't really connect the two. You can't really compare the two. They're so different,
Yeah, totally. They're simple talking about Quake 3. I was a Quake champion shoutcaster, man.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All about that Quake scene.
Yeah. Oh, you guys were bonding in chat before. Yeah.
Yep. The end is near. The dystopian future that we're living in. Yeah.
I know. It is a dark and weird timeline. It really is.
Are there any games that have kind of opportunistically announced like short competitive seasons in this? Like, Apex is in season right now, right? They're in their what is it, season?
It is, and for this season they decided to split it. So for half of season 4, they decided to do like half the ranks in the current map, and then they're going back to the old map. So yeah.
Got it.
Down Up Destiny says 2020 has been so weird. It really has been, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I mean, what games are the winner in this, right? So what are people going to watch most, right? Because you've got Call of Duty League going on.
That's
you've got
true.
Overwatch. It's changing its comps, right? They're going to what? They were 2-2-2 comp. Now they're going to 3-2-1 comp. Warzone just came out. Apex is still mid-season. I'm not sure what viewership there has been like. Fortnite has their season suspended right now.
Yeah.
think is true.
I
That
don't
might
know.
still be true.
I think we're just gonna see an increase of people going to Twitch or YouTube to watch more content that they can access since there's nothing else that they can really do. I know there's been like an increase of music on Twitch because performers can't really do their concerts anymore. Can't do their tours, so now they just have like home concerts, which is really cool. And I think that's awesome because then that also gives viewers like a way to support them if they want their donations, tips. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, dude, I love like live mixed music. We have someone that fundraises for Two Right Love actually that does that, DJ Quest.
Ooh, nice.
He does that. Yeah, he puts together like an hour-long mix for us every year, and then he actually performs it live, which is pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Cookie
For
Monster
sure.
asks, if you don't mind, how did Stella meet Plague?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I don't actually remember.
You were fundraising for Two Right Love on Our Arms.
Yes.
And I'm the influencer relations person there. First time we met in person though.
Was PAX. This PAX.
Was it at PAX? Was
I'm
it?
pretty
Why do I feel
sure.
like I've met you before that? No, I guess not.
Yeah, I thought it was.
How about that?
Oh no, TwitchCon. It was TwitchCon. That's right.
We met at
TwitchCon.
TwitchCon.
And then,
That's right.
but then PAX was when we really started talking
It's just
business.
foggy.
Yeah.
It's foggy.
Yeah.
Hard to remember.
But yeah, that's how we met through. So technically through the charity, and then we officially met at TwitchCon. So
Yeah.
yeah. Tibble says maybe now I can catch up on my Steam library. Oh, I'm still working on that.
Oh, man, I have like a huge list of games in there, and I keep
I
buying
know.
other ones. I'm so silly.
Speaking of games, here's a transition.
Do it.
Okay, so
Making
let's
games.
talk about. So, I believe Naughty Dog kind of had a statement about their developers crunch.
Yes.
They're crunching hard, and the whole point of delaying the game was so that they wouldn't have to crunch hard. But they're
No, it makes it
still,
worse.
and that's terrible. I'm pretty sure they
Makes it
had
worse.
an interview with Kotaku where they said like a pipe fell while they were working late one night, and had the pipe fallen a little bit closer, like a few inches to the left or something, like it would have actually crashed down on someone who was
Awesome.
working late. And I'm just like, how are you pushing your developers this hard that their safeties are at risk? This is not okay. And I hate that crunch is being normalized, that it's like, oh, well, it means a job well done. Like, it's rewarding. Is it?
You know, there's two sides to this. It's crunch, but it's crunch plus the fact that a lot of these folks are contract workers. And that's what drives me
That's
nuts.
fair,
Like, if it were
yeah.
one or the other, maybe I could live with it. Like if they were full-time and benefits and
Yeah.
like had a guaranteed job after, then okay, like you have busy seasons, right? And it sucks, but it is what it is, but your stability's there, you have benefits, you have a job. But it's not just like you crunch and you like murder yourself to get this game out, and then when the game's out, your contract's cut.
Yeah.
So you're just like, it's the worst.
I know that's a huge problem in this industry, especially with contractors like just getting renewed and not actually being brought on full time, so they don't have any
Right.
benefits. So that's kind of a tough thing too to consider. But it's still like, even if they have benefits, crunch, like they could be working 12 hours a day and then not even like get home. I know. I know of a few people who've been working really hard and they had to sleep at the office just because,
Yeah.
if they went home and came back, there'd be no point. And I think that's so crazy. Like this industry, we create really great things, but at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a couple good articles that came out. Kotaku had one on Doom Eternal. PC Gamer did one on Doom Eternal, and then Kotaku did one on Cyberpunk. That the crunch makes it worse because at least when there's a deadline set for the game, no game ever releases perfect, right?
Yeah,
You're
of
able
course.
to find glitches and bugs in every game that's ever come out. And then delaying the game just extends the developer's ability to QA it. And that's all that's happening in that time frame. It's not like, oh, we extended the deadline, everybody goes home for a week and relaxes. Like, no.
Yeah.
So instead of busting your butt till September, you're doing it till March.
It's just,
Same workload, just 6 months longer.
yeah. I feel like there is a majority of people who would rather devs take their time and polish a game on their own time than have a game come out early and have it be like really bad, and obviously have devs feeling terrible about it because their memories of building this beautiful game that should be really fun is them just suffering day to day because they had to push this product so hard. And I feel like people don't understand that, especially people who like demand a game come out earlier and stuff. It's like, really think about it. Really think about the effort that goes into this. It's not that easy to build a game from scratch.
No, it's an incredible amount of work. But the other side of that coin is like, if you didn't, what would be the solution to it, right? Never do like doing a Valve, you know, and just never announcing release dates ever.
I mean, Apex
Just
did
letting
that.
it go. Yeah,
Apex did
well,
that and
that's
it came
fair.
out great. But there's really no good solution to it, except for maybe like, is it possible to set a realistic deadline? Is that possible at all? Like internally?
The work's never done, right? The work's
Yeah.
never done. Because again, you can always QA it and polish it more.
Yeah,
You've got
I mean,
limited budgets and limited amounts of time. I think more full-time positions, frankly, would help it. The Naughty Dog story talks a lot about, for The Last of Us, talks a lot about the fact that they had so many higher level people quit that there wasn't enough experience on the staff. They had the right number of employees, but they were
Oh, I
all very
see.
junior and underexperienced and on contract. And so I actually think more full-time positions and better leadership, better project management would help it out a lot. I think it's because the crunch is so bad and it happens with every title, and there are so few full-time positions that you don't have experienced project managers that stick around at these studios.
That's
Part of
fair.
the problem.
Yeah.
Not that young people I think are incredibly capable of getting things done, but it takes you longer. It's just going to take you a longer amount of time because you're learning.
Yeah. I wish that could be. The thing is, like, I wish that could be calculated, right? Like learning time and coordination time. I wish that could all be calculated, but it's not possible.
Sure.
So it's like, if they had a record of how long the last game took, and if they kind of maybe added a few, like, maybe just doubled that to be safe, and then maybe
Yeah.
announce the game like halfway through that, I feel like that'd be good. I mean, Blizzard with Overwatch 2 and Diablo, they didn't even announce a date. They're just like, yeah, it's coming, but here you go. And
Yeah.
I'm almost like, is that better or worse? I feel like,
if you're a big studio like that, you can do that because you have the money, right?
That's true,
Like
yeah.
you have the balance sheet to like chill and take your time and not have to worry about when it comes out. But
yeah,
I
that's
don't
very
know, if
fair.
you're- like Telltale Games is a great example of that. They were doing the Walking
Oh,
Dead
God,
games. Everybody thought
yeah.
they were fine, and then overnight they're like, "Just kidding, we're out of money." You're like, "What?"
Yeah,
Like that's how razor thin some of these studios operate all the time.
That's so tough, man.
It
I'm
is.
not a
It's
developer and I
brutal.
can't say anything, but I've definitely been, in content crunch, and it sucks. Like because you want this good quality thing out
Right.
before it's, untimely. Like you want it to come out when it's relevant, and you want to stay relevant. And it's so hard timing these things because the industry that we work in is just extremely fickle. It's constantly changing, and it's really hard to predict. So I totally understand why they feel like crunch is needed, but at the same time, I feel like we really need to work on changing that as an industry.
Yeah, I think more full-time jobs would help. I mean, I'm a fan. I don't. This is.
Oh no! Oh no! What is he
I
gonna
was
say?
gonna say, man, let's unionize it. Let's unionize this son of a bitch. I mean, that might fix it. Games would take a hell of a lot longer to get made.
Yeah.
Games would take a hell of a lot longer to get made, but you would fix the crunch problem, right?
I mean, I wouldn't
is that a good
mind
solution?
because I have so many games. Because when all these games come out at once, anyways, I already have such a big backlog. I'm like, you know what? It's fine if you wait.
mean, the film industry does it, right? Like when I think
Yeah.
of what is the closest thing that we have to producing games in another industry, and it has to be the film industry. I
Yeah.
mean, because a lot of those positions are contractors, right? Obviously, the actors and actresses are only around while the movie's being filmed, then they're not needed after the fact. And games aren't that different. Your animators, your 3D artists, a lot of especially your concept artists, are gone very early on in the game's
Yeah.
development, right? So why isn't it been unionized? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the history behind that, but I know that it's very like,
It's getting big enough now that it could be.
yeah. I hope so. I hope there are at least talks about that.
There are talks about it. I mean, it's bad. Again, it would take longer for games to come out. You'd have to pay people more money.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It would make it harder for indie studios. So the best argument that I've heard for not unionizing is it would make it more difficult for indie studios because so many indie games are made by people that are working another full-time job and they're making a game at night, and then eventually they get the game 80% of the way there, and then they quit their day job and find a publisher and finish the game and whatever. But so if you make it harder for them to bring on a contract artist for 3 months when they need it, or an animator for a couple months when they need it, you do make it harder for indie devs.
Yeah.
But large studios are taking advantage of that dynamic in the industry. So I'm not sure how you fix that. It's a tough one.
Yeah. But they're definitely taking advantage of people who are like, oh yeah, I just really want to work in the industry. I really want to get, my foot in the door. And they take advantage of those people because it's like, oh, well, do you really want this job? Then you should be able to do this for us. And, that's where a lot of the problems lie too, again, with contractors. So it's...
Yep. Where simple, tight deadlines on inherently creative projects are the worst. Yes, and they actually make it impossible for you to be creative.
Yeah, because you're constantly pushing yourself, and burnout is so real. But the more you push yourself like this, the more likely it is that you're going to get burnt out way quicker.
You're doing less quality work, definitely.
But then I don't want this to be a reason why more games come out in beta. Or claim to be in beta. Like Warzone!
Permanent early access phases, you mean?
Yes. Did you like my transition there?
Like everything that I'm playing right now is permanent early access. Into Warzone we go. Tell us about Warzone, Stella. How do you feel?
So annoying. I hate that. Actually, someone else at work was telling me about this. They hate that the label beta is just slapped on the games to be like, oh, well, this is why there are problems. Instead of being like, like Call of Duty. They published the game. They released the game, like a few months ago. They had plenty of time to work on it. They've been teasing this since the launch. And it's like, is it really still in beta? Really?
I had to grab something from my desk here for a minute because like back in my day, I'm showing my age, when you released a game,
oh my god,
put it out on a freaking cartridge. And this is it. No patches. Right?
Yeah,
and so you had to QA the game.
Like, you liked the game for what it was, for what it presented, right?
Yeah, I mean, totally. It's just, we go back to the concept of crunch that we were just talking about, and it's a great transition to that because when is a game done? Freaking never. I mean, when the developer stops updating it, for EA, that's 5 minutes after it releases. Okay. It just depends who the dev is. I don't know.
Like, if you really want...
Still saying it's public test? Yeah, well, it should be saying it's public test. Don't make me rant about that, but... the game is actually in great shape right now. It's free on Steam. I'll show for Quake Champions. But that game had like a year and a half of extremely rough early access. But anyway, we're supposed to be talking about Warzone.
No, Cozy Kyle makes a good point. Online play presents a lot more issues and variables than back in the day. That is very true. But I feel like Call of Duty is... they're manned by developers who are very used to being aware of these issues, right? They have a history of working with this sort of multiplayer games. So it's like you would think that they would take their experience. I forget, did Blackout ever come out at beta? Was it beta?
I don't remember.
Let me look that up real quick.
Daisy, how long has it been from early access? I don't know.
Oh, God. Don't even talk about that.
I give it a pass in balance, to Kyle's point, is that you get like mass data on what weapons people are using and what the damage output of those weapons are. And even if you have a couple hundred people playing it, the data that you get isn't going to be as good as having 1 million people log in and then having 1 million data points to work with. So for balancing a game, I get it. All about that. All about beta phases for that.
Yeah. For me, when a game says that they're in beta, it just tells me that it's not done. Like, it's not complete, which is fine. But with something like this, I mean, we understand that Warzone is a live game, as in it'll always need patches. It'll always need balancing. Apex doesn't say it's in beta, but it's a constantly live game that's getting new patches.
It's always evolving, yeah.
So why do we need that label beta on this game when we know that it's live? Like, there's no reason for that. Beta for, like, indie games where it literally is in beta because it's still being constructed, that's fine. I get it. But for stuff like this, I don't understand the point of that.
If I go back to Battlefield 1, speaking of Electronic Arts,
Mhm.
one thing that they did really well is they had beta weekends. And I like when games do like a test weekend where it's like Friday through Sunday and you get a key for that. And that key doesn't get you the full game. It just
Exactly.
gets you
Yeah.
into the beta. And that's cool because it's a closed test and the game
Mhm.
gets pulled, they work on it, then they do another beta weekend later. I think that that's kind of neat as opposed to the game isn't out persistently.
Yeah.
I've always appreciated when devs do that.
Yeah, beta has always been like the test phase, beta and alphas. So it's like, oh, you get a code, you get to play a little bit of it, you get to do a demo. Like beta is just like a
Right.
demo, right? So when I hear that
Should be.
for Call of Duty, I'm just like, I don't think that really works here.
Is there a developer roadmap out for it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing of like, is this thing actually an early access or beta? Is if the developer put out like a content roadmap,
Yeah.
and I can see clearly like, oh, okay, here are like the 8 things they're gonna add to the game between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
When they're like, and they're big things, like they're massive content updates, as opposed to like we're tweaking weapons. It's
Yeah. Like
uh,
that's kind of a given with
this
a
gun might
battle
have too much
royale.
recoil. You're
Yeah.
like, okay.
And it's like I get that there will constantly be balancing. That's fine, right?
Yeah,
But
that's normal maintenance. That's not like mass content changes.
yeah, that's not like a new expansion or whatever. Simple says Conan Exiles and Rust do this too. Yeah. So here's a big example of one of those when this what's it called, the scavenging and survival mode games came out. They were all in fucking beta,
Yeah.
and Ark suffered heavily from this. When Ark came out, it was doing so well. It was so popular, but it
Yeah.
was constantly being sold at a lower rate than they originally wanted it to because they constantly kept it in beta. And when it
Sure.
finally released, no one wanted to buy it, or people who
Right.
played
Everybody
it,
already had
like
it.
they already had it, yeah. And the thing is, they had memories of when it was still in beta, when it was really bad, so they didn't want to go back and revisit it. So it's
Right.
like game developers
Yeah.
really don't benefit from this.
They do if it's this catch-22 situation. Quake Champions was brought up earlier because they had this problem. They went into early access too early. There was AMD put up $1 million. There was $1 million Quake Champions tournament. and it was
What?
way early.
Wow,
It was while
okay.
the game was in early access, way early, and it was a mess. Like anybody that's played it around that time would agree.
I can
the game was a
imagine.
mess.
Yeah.
So a lot of people played it then and just never want to come back to it. Right? It has the No Man's Sky problem, where No Man's Sky came out massively underdelivered, and then they had to go back to the drawing board and basically re-release it. Anthem might go through that now too. And
Ugh.
so on one hand, developers are afraid to put out an unpolished product because then people don't come back and play it, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, like they want to move as much revenue forward in time as they can, so they go with these early access phases. That's why I like the limited weekend releases, because
Yeah.
because then it's so explicit that this is not a finished product. Like there's no question. Like we're pulling it off the shelf after Sunday, and you can try it without putting any money into it. I think it's a great middle ground.
Yeah, and it's really like a test phase, which is great. Like that is what betas are supposed to be used for. And I
Yeah.
think saying an ongoing game is in beta, it's just like, to me, that just means it's never done. It's not finished. And that kind of bothers me. Like it bugs me a lot more than I think it should. But it's like, I don't know, man. Like DayZ took so long to even get a stable release, and I don't know
Yeah.
if it's still even out of beta. I think it's out of alpha.
You're like you're Kickstarter. You're almost being a Kickstarter supporter of the game.
Yeah.
But it's in a real game store. That's the thing. Like if you buy something on Kickstarter, you expect it to be a bit of a mess, but developers run that risk where if they list it in Steam, people are expecting it to be polished. Indie devs that I've seen do this well, Slime Rancher. Slime Rancher is
Oh,
one of the
yeah,
best, one of the best managed early access periods I've ever freaking seen. Shouts to Monami Park, because I think it was the first game that they did, and it was just so smart. So what they did was they tested the core elements of the game, but in early access, none of the story components of the game were there. They were developed and done and ready, but they were stripped from the game. So like if you did things that were supposed to be like a story component, it would just be gibberish, or like it wouldn't be there. So the early access, you were just testing like the core features of the game, and then when they
Yeah.
went to full release, they added all the story and lore elements
I
into
like
the game
that,
later. So
though.
you still got
Yeah.
something out of getting it at full release.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they still got to do the testing they needed to and fund themselves, which is the point of it. So
I like that a lot.
yeah,
I feel like
they
that's
did a
just
great job.
that's really hard to find in games now. Like it's almost in style to release things in beta and just keep it beta, because then it's like, oh well, just look at the name. You can't blame us for all these issues.
I mean, it goes back to the indie dev big studio thing, right? Indie devs need to do it because they're dying, because they're running out of money and they're dying.
Yeah.
So they need to do it to try to bring some revenue in. Big studios realized they could accelerate their revenue earlier on, and so they did it too.
Yeah, I don't mind a game being in actual beta. I do mind when it's being mislabeled.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Warzone is basically a finished product at this point? Like,
Yeah,
when you look at it?
I absolutely think it's finished. I think it's like Apex. It's done, and
Right.
will it need tweaking? Yes, but I mean Apex does that just fine, and it says that it's a full release.
Yeah,
Like-
free for everyone, March 10th. Blah.
Yeah, games like this, I totally get that there will be constant adjusting, and I think everyone expects that, because no one expects, like a battle royale to really feel fully finished, because it's
This is crazy. I actually need to go to the PUBG store to see if it's still listed as early access, because I don't know.
yeah. Is it? Because PUBG for the longest time. Oh my God, I remember that.
No, it's not.
Okay, good. I hope not. But I know that still has issues, and now people barely play that because it was released so early, and people don't need to play that anymore. They're just like, oh yeah, well, I got my fill of it. I get it. There are better things out now that have been published from this, like, more polished from the start. So now it's like, okay, well, there's no need for that anymore. Cool.
Good old early access, man.
I just
Love
think,
it and hate it.
yeah, I just think that developers really, at least big game companies, really, they hurt themselves a lot with early access stuff, or like beta stuff anyways.
Stella, let's talk about the Warzone video you did with IGN. Are we allowed to do that?
Oh my God. Yeah, we can.
Are we allowed to do it?
Yeah.
People
Hold
were
on.
so
I actually,
salty and mad at you.
so we discovered what the problem was.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
What's
so the
the
thing is,
issue?
it's fine. It's fine. So my boss actually really liked my video. He said that there were a lot of points, really good points that I made that resonated with him too.
Okay.
But the thing is, he was like, I'm just mad that no one told you that that headline would be a problem. Because people read the headline and went in angry, and they didn't listen to anything I said.
Because the headline is like, what did it say? Is it better than Apex, or is
No,
it like,
the headline
is
was,
it a battle royale? I can't remember what the headline.
The
was.
headline was, Call of Duty Modern Warfare's Warzone, why it isn't a battle royale, and people saw that and they got
okay.
upset. But the thing is,
Okay.
so we have this Slack channel where we put in all of our headline ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
And I put that in. No one said anything about it, so I was like, all right, cool, it's probably fine, because it was
Okay.
an opinion, right? I figured if people watched the video, it would be fine, but it wasn't.
Sure.
So we actually ended up changing the title. Call of Duty Warzone isn't just a battle royale, but it was too late. So some of these comments, yeah. So these comments, right? People were so upset. They only read the headline and didn't listen to any of my points that I made. So they were just like, "Oh, this girl doesn't know what she's talking about." I wanted to add in the tag about first impressions, but they didn't actually let me, because they're like, "Oh, well, they get it. This isn't an official review." But they think that I was reviewing the game, and I was like, throughout the video, I said, I feel. Like, putting it very clearly that it is my opinion. And then some people even gave me shit for reading off, like, my notes on a paper. They're like, oh, she's reading her opinions off a paper. And I'm like, have you guys never taken notes on stuff ever in your life? Like, what do you mean?
Never, ever. This content is tough. This is something that I struggle with, too, where I've wanted to do reviews of games that are... Well, we both decided this is a finished game, whether they want to call it beta or not. So it's safe to review this. It's not like you're reviewing something that's going to change a lot or talking about, not reviewing, but talking about something that's going to change a lot from point A
Yeah.
to
Like,
point B.
Aside from, like, gun balancing, I don't think it's going to change much. And maybe even, like, a new map, you know?
Do you think they're going to tighten the match length up on it? Because the matches
fucking hope so.
They're quite long, right? It's like a half hour or more.
And the thing is, everyone that I've talked to has said, yeah, the matches feel a little long.
Yeah.
No one actually listened to that in the video because they were too angry about the headline. But the thing is, like...
And the other battle royales went the other direction. Like PUBG came out with, oh my God, the Sandcook, whatever the smaller map is that when they got away from their original map, and they made the circle close faster, and then Apex obviously moves a heck of a lot faster than any of them do in terms of the circle. So other battle royales have been going the other direction to shorten the amount of time it takes to get through a match.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I thought that I would want a battle royale game where I lasted longer, like the game matches would go on for longer. But I realized that isn't actually enjoyable for me. Like in Warzone, just because I survived to top 5 doesn't mean we actually did well. It just means we ran around and somehow
back.
Like it just takes so long. There's so much time for people to come back. There's so many different opportunities, at which point it doesn't feel like a battle royale where the whole point is for you to feel like you're on your seat, like, oh, if I die, I die, you know?
Sure. Because of all that complexity that's in it, no chance this is an esports title, in my opinion.
I definitely don't think there's so many elements.
Too much to commentate on and to follow as a viewer.
And the thing is, like, if it was like Blackout, which is why I said I liked Blackout better, because it's definitely a clear-cut battle royale. You only have one objective: kill other players.
Right.
But with this, like, you can do a 1v1 to get back. But the thing is, there are other elements to that. Your teammates could be in the 1v1 area. They could tell you what the other team is doing. That is completely unfair. That's not a balanced game. And then you can also throw rocks at people in the actual 1v1 arena.
I didn't realize they actually hurt you.
They hurt you. They could actually kill. You could kill someone. Yeah. So it's like that.
Hell?
How is that balanced? That is not balanced. But they could all be like, oh, it's beta.
It's fun. Like there's the thing. So Overwatch has this issue, right? What is fun versus what makes something a viewable esport?
Yeah, exactly.
There's all that fight is always a problem. But this one is definitely leaning on the more like gimmicky side of just trying to be a purely fun title, which is fine. But I'm with you in that it's not going to be an esports title, a balanced competitive title.
If it is, I'll be extremely surprised and very disappointed.
I mean, someone somewhere will put on tournaments for it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to be a core esport.
My favorite comments on these videos are always me being questioned.
I'm looking for it right now, and I wanted to actually bring the video up.
It's always questioning my credibility as a gamer. Because a lot of these comments are, she sounds like she watched the trailer, read her wiki, and then tried to make a review. First of all, I never said it was a review.
Are you on this Black Mesa one too? Because you've been playing Black Mesa.
I didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think they did like a review of it. I didn't do the review. So
sorry, I'm just going through the.
You're fine. It's interesting because people just react with anger and they don't actually listen to anything that I say. So they don't get context for why I say it doesn't feel like a battle royale. So they don't get that. And a lot of people, of course, then jump from, it feels like the best battle royale I've ever played. Sure, right. That's your opinion. I don't agree with you. I think it doesn't feel like a battle royale at all. But you know what? That's fine. That's your opinion. And I literally had one person say, that's your opinion. Like, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but you're wrong.
Right.
I'm like, that defeats the purpose of, okay, whatever.
It falls into the same cat. It's like a Fortnite for more serious kids, like is how I would describe it. Like, because Fortnite, I would say, isn't a great esports title either. Like, there's so much, but it's a fun title. Like, it is a fun game to play.
Yeah, I never said it wasn't fun.
It's not like a 5v5 Counter-Strike. Yeah.
No. Yeah, also, someone commented, teasing this for so long. Lol, the trailer for Warzone only dropped yesterday. There were only leaks and rumors prior to this. Yeah, the leaks that were actually on substantial evidence that it was in the game code. Also, they teased a trailer for it a while ago with people dropping out of a fucking airplane. So, and then someone else comments, I know, right? For an Asian, I thought she'd be smart. I fucking hate that anyone who decides to question my credibility as a games reporter, they immediately go to me being a woman, so I can't be a real gamer, to being racist. And it's so fucking old. I'm like, guys, do you not see the industry? Do you not see how diverse this industry is now? And every time a coworker and I are co-hosting a show, they're always like, oh, it's the token Asian, or like, oh, they're doing this just to get their diversity count up. And I'm like, how fucking old are you? How set back are you? It really frustrates me because I know that these people exist, and it's like I lived in this community in Indiana and Michigan where people are very close-minded, and then moving to California, I was like, oh, this is so much nicer. Everyone actually understands these things, and I felt more open to talk about my problems.
First of all, there are other Asia Pacific people here. Second of all,
but it's like, God. It's incredible. Like, it is incredible to see how many negative people there are, and this industry just makes it worse. Like, this community, and
I just want to point this out, by the way. That video has 153K views on IGN right now, which is like 3x what most of the other ones do.
Yeah, and it's great. It's really funny because
like Pixar's Soul trailer, which I'm fired up about that, and Spawn's fatalities.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's so funny because it's like, I have important points. My points are valid. My opinions are valid, especially since I played the game. I know what I'm talking about. And a lot of people were like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not she sounds like she doesn't play Battle Royales at all. And I commented back, I was like, I am the head of news and gameplay producing for Apex and Fortnite. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about. So it's really funny because people just don't take me seriously because either I'm a woman or I'm Asian or, I don't agree with what they say. And I'm like, listen, would you guys really want me, if I reviewed a game or said something about a game, would you want me to constantly, would you want me to feed you constantly? Like, yeah, of course, I agree with everything you say. Because then this would be such a fucking boring world.
Yeah, totally. It's, man. Yeah.
If you like the game, that's great. Fucking go like the game.
Go like the game.
Like, why do I care? I'm sharing my opinions. If you guys had a platform like this, you would want to as well. So why not?
This has always been an IGN thing, though. This has always been
the case. Any
review
I know.
that you guys ever write or put out has this type of criticism.
It
like,
sucks.
Either you rate it too highly, or you rate it too low, or you rate
And the thing is, something that we put out incorrectly, something that we write, our Pokemon review, I forget which one it was, but they said too much water. What they meant is too many water type Pokemon. Like, something happened with that. But then instead they said too much water, and then that got fucking pinpointed, and people started going off on us about that. And that's awesome. What happens. That's what happens when you have a big platform like this, and that sucks. But honestly, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, you know what? I'm honestly really glad that I get shit like this. I hate that racism and sexism is so rampant in this industry, but at the same time, I'm glad, because that means people are seeing me. That means people are watching this. That means they're reading this. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to fucking normalize the fact that women are in this industry and that we know what we're talking about. Even if you guys shit on me, I'm still here. I'm not fucking going anywhere. So what's the point? And so I was like, you know what? I'm pretty happy about this. Whatever.
I like it. I'm with you. I have nothing to add to that.
I stand by what I said. I even when I was tweeting out about it and when I commented on all the stuff, I was like, I stand by what I said. You guys can say whatever you want, tell me that I'm wrong, but I'm standing by what I'm saying. I know what I said. I took my notes. I fucking did my research. I'm sitting here and you are not, so.
I know. I was glancing through the comments, and you're right. You probably, how many hours of game time did you have in before you did that video?
Maybe 2 hours. I also played at work too. And then I even had my coworkers who played the game talk to me about it, and we all agreed. I mean, they liked the game a lot more than I did, but they agreed. They're like, yeah, it's just got a lot going on. There's a lot to learn. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's my whole fucking point, and it takes too much time. We actually had a branded shoot going on for it, and they took the whole day. They took 8 hours just to get decent footage because it took them so long just to learn the game and get through one match.
Yep. So, and to get in fights and to take fight footage where you're actually not getting one shot.
Exactly. All the time. Because God forbid IGN show bad game footage, because that means we're not real gamers, and I hate that. It's so frustrating.
You're not a real gamer.
Yeah. It's so funny. Whenever I would do solo streams for IGN, showing off a new game, when Modern Warfare actually did launch, I kind of sucked at the game for a bit, but then I got better, and I'm generally a better sniper in games. So when I started sniping, they're like, oh, wait, she can actually play games. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
We're all normal people. Also, we're not going to be god tier at every game we play. And it's just funny. And when people started getting sassy with me in the live stream, I started getting sassy back. And then they were like, oh shit, she's actually talking to us. Never mind.
Yeah. Gotta get sassy back. You should. It's awesome. We did that on the commentary desk with Quake.
Good.
The Quake community is really brutal for sure. And there's this European American, Europeans versus Americans, little bit of a grudge match, and we had American commentators for one match, and the Europeans were like lighting up the Twitch chat.
That's
We just
so
started
funny.
giving them shit back. It's the way to go.
Good. That's awesome.
Gotta do it.
I think the biggest problem is that people see companies like this. They see a name, IGN. They're just like, oh, everyone is just that. They're those three letters.
Well, people think that these companies are bigger than they are. Like IGN is a big brand, right? And so people think that these are these huge monolithic companies. Like they're really not, right? There aren't that many people there, you know?
There aren't.
They just forget that they're huge. They're basically small businesses at heart. People forget that about indie developers too, like Ooblets. Ooblets is a great example. When Ooblets announced that was Epic Game Store exclusive, people freaked out on the developers. And it's like, you guys realize this is a husband and wife dev team that lives in Boston that quit their day jobs to make this game? Like, you understand this isn't like 45 employees and you're screaming at the CEO who's never going to see your comments or respond to you. I'm like, there are 2 people that work on this dev team, y'all.
Yeah.
Give them a break.
The entitlement of gamers, again, I feel like that's the theme of this, is just fucking incredible. And I learn about it more every day
out here. I love the community though. I mean, I love it, and I it's so weird. I don't know why I love it some days.
I know it sucks because some days you're like, oh my god, look at what this gaming community did, and the next day you're just like, set it on fire.
Going back to the beginning of our conversation about all these events being canceled, this is what I'm the most sad for, is when you go to PAX or TwitchCon or E3 and you see the community in person. It's so different because everybody's so much friendlier in person.
Because they're like, oh shit,
chill, and
you're a real person.
Oh my god, you're a real person. You're not in this like Twitter pressure cooker, YouTube comment, cesspool. It's totally different. Like nobody would ever be that bold with you in person if they met you.
Omega says the gaming community is like a box of chocolates, and I agree. I agree. Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to try to wrap this up, but tell me what game you're most excited for releasing this year.
Oh, a game that I'm going to play Doom. I'm probably going to play Doom all to myself. I don't want to stream it. I don't want anyone ruining that shit for me.
Yes,
so
do
I'm
that.
I'm going to play Doom all on my own.
Yeah.
In the indie game side of things, I just played World of Horror last night. That was kind of an interesting game. Not a great stream
I don't like
title.
horror stuff. No.
Yeah, it's cool. World of Horror is cool. It's 1-bit or 2-bit art style, so really fascinating art style. That's in a true early access right now, not this fake early access nonsense. So that's a good one in the indie scene. And then Flotsam. Those are probably my top 3.
Cool. All right. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, Simple also says, I won't stream my first playthrough of the new Doom to take it in. And Nighthawk is also taking the 20th off to play Doom. I'm going to play Animal Crossing and Doom, and it's going to be funny because I'm going to be managing my island and also ripping, tearing, you know.
Split screen it.
Yeah. It'll be so great. But I think a lot more people need to take more time to enjoy games by themselves and not stream it. Like I started playing Luigi's Mansion with Fix, and it's really nice.
Yeah,
it's so casual. It's so nice. It is. But
it's a good one.
Well, James, where can people find you on social media?
Oh man, Twitter box at Plague TV and Twitch at the same handle. Those are probably the 2 best places to go. And if you care about suicide prevention or helping people recover from thoughts of self-harm or addiction or depression, I'm also the influencer relations manager for To Right Love on Her Arms. We're a Florida-based not-for-profit that looks to present hope to people that are dealing with those sorts of things. And I'd love to talk to you if you want to do some work with us, if you have your own channel, or if you just want to learn more about us. But yeah, Plague TV is where to find me. This has been fun, Stella. Thanks for having me on.
My camera broke at the last minute.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was really fun to have you on. Thank you so much for being here. He is really easy to work with, by the way. He makes everything extremely easy to handle.
We try.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. He knows how to handle that tough subject really well. So if you guys ever need someone, just get in contact with him. Just tweet at him.
Oh, are you having the camera's auto shut off thing? Is it a Canon?
Nikon, and there's no way to set it off, unfortunately. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.